Help support Friendo Club by going to patreon.com/Steven Larson or clicking join at youtube.com/Steven Larson. Access to bonus episodes, question threads for the Going In Raw podcast, and entry to our monthly wrestling predictions challenges. Join the Friendo Club today. Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. Punk Day! We're gonna drop lots of CM Punk news tonight. Come on, you gotta. You know, just give me a tonight. We're gonna drop CM Punk news tonight. All right.
This afternoon. So here's the thing. I'm not mad that Punk's WWE. There's nothing to do with Punk showing WWE. But I was kind of looking forward to moving on past Punk dailies, maybe post-Punk dailies. No Wave daily. New Wave daily.
I feel like the premise of your desire is flawed. There is no moving on from Punk Daily. Punk Daily moves on from you, Larson. I don't even know what that means, but
that doesn't mean anything.
This dude ain't going nowhere, Larson. We got some CM Punk news tonight. All right.
So in case you missed it, in case you weren't watching Survivor Series, maybe I don't know, you were traveling for the holidays,
karaokeing,
whatever the case may be. In case you missed it, CM Punk made his return to WWE last night at the conclusion of Survivor Series War Games after almost 10-year absence from the company. Mm-hmm. Pretty shocking stuff.
Ooh, shocking.
Here's what we know so far. So I got some bullet points here of topics with reports from various outlets. First. And this comes from Triple H himself, and this also been mentioned by Fightful and PW Insider. Triple H mentioned at the media scrum or the press conference last night. The deal that secured Punk's return came together quickly. With Fightful Sean Ross Sapp reporting last night, we mentioned this at our Survivor Series recap. The following, quote, CM Punk told at least one person close to him he had an hour-long conversation with Triple H last week. Subsequently, Fightful Select specified the call happened on November 19th. And noted that the deal wasn't finalized until Saturday, and as of Saturday morning, no contract had been signed yet. PW Insider reports that, quote, the deal between the two sides is believed to be several years in length. Dave Meltzer added that, quote, the deal came together about 10 days ago. Obviously, it was kept secret from almost everyone. Meltzer also stated that Punk signed a multi-year deal. Now, let's take a break here from news. We can talk about this.
Yeah.
To a degree, and granted, I know Punk doesn't have a whole lot of leverage in this situation. I would think WWE would have the leverage advantage. Agreed?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. To a degree, I am somewhat surprised if it is in fact a multi-year deal. I would think maybe from WWE's perspective. I don't run their business. I don't know what their philosophy is on contracts and such. That they might have, and a multi-year deal could be 2 years for all we know. A more tempered approach with Phil. Be like, all right, start over the year. See how things go, and then we'll have an option, maybe a mutual option at the end of the first year. Mm-hmm. Take things slow, see how things go.
Yeah. I was so with that respect, whatever.
We've done a lot of talking the last 2 days. I get it, Steve.
I'm tired, dude. With that being said, I wonder if this is not, okay, I'll put it this way. It ain't going to be a Cody contract. I'd be shocked, I tell you, if it was anything close to a Cody contract. It's probably for big money. It's probably for a lot of money. But I would be surprised if, they're like, okay, we're going to get you everything. We're going to get you the bus. We're going to get you the schedule you want. You're going to get you this. We're going to get you that. I mean, I don't know if they would go so far as to incentivize it. Like, if you're on good behavior for this amount of time, you're going to get this amount of money. I just kind of figure if he causes any look, one of two things is going to happen. Either he's not going to cause any problems and they're going to get their return on investment and then some, or he's going to give problems and they're going to get rid of him. I feel like there are probably out clauses in case it doesn't work. And they're not going to be on the hook for stupid money if it doesn't work, or he's going to be able to do X, Y, and Z if it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, he's probably just going to be gone. If it doesn't work, they'll probably all know it. You know,
it'll probably be pretty evident pretty quickly.
Right, exactly. So I don't know. I mean, look, I know people were saying that Triple H saying during the press conference, he's a different person and I'm a different person. And the counter to that is he a different person? Because look at what just happened to AEW. Triple H ain't going to give one damn about that because that ain't his shop. He ain't running that shop, and he might consider that a sloppy shop.
He might.
He's like, I'm Triple H. I'm only going to deal with the guy that I knew back then and what I know of him now based on my conversations with him. And so that's the only way he can operate. Yeah. This isn't like, oh, you're getting a job in retail. Let me call up the last place. And they're like, yeah, he's still steal a bunch of money. This is pro wrestling. This is a completely different business than retail.
Other jobs. And here's another
Those
thing
other
regarding
jobs.
The length of the contract, too, is that apart from the downside guarantee, there's not a cent guaranteed in that contract. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
It's not like, it's not, and I would imagine the downside guarantee is always contingent on hitting the number of dates that are included in the contract. Historically speaking, that's how wrestling contracts that would be worked.
Yeah, right.
You're contracted for X number of dates during the course of the year. You hit those dates, you get your downside. And then merch, blah, blah, I don't even know if they do pay-per-view bonuses anymore. All the other stuff is on top of that.
The royalties are like way down. Like I watched some of the Maven video about how the royalties, like even up until just before the network, Maven was still making like good money on WWE royalties because of DVD sales.
Yeah.
And now because of the network and because of Peacock, way in the toilet.
Yeah.
Way different.
Yeah. I'd imagine. So if there's not a large amount of money guaranteed in the deal, right. It doesn't matter. 3-year deal, fine, doesn't work. We're not on the hook for a ton of money. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Next.
Fightful
Select reported that, quote, talent were pulled aside before the War Games match and told that CM Punk. Oh, sorry, I skipped this one point. Sorry, I'll be backtrack a little bit. We'll get to that in a second. According to PW Insider and Fightful, Triple H and Nick Khan made the call to bring Punk back, with PW Insider noting, quote, literally no one else in the creative and production side of the company were made aware until during the pay-per-view. We were told a small select group at that point were aware, and that most talents were not made aware until moments before the bout, although it's believed at least a few were clued in privately before that. Meltzer mentioned on Wrestling Observer Radio, quote, it was Nick Khan who made the call. Vince McMahon had nothing to do with it. Paul Levesque had, obviously, a lot to do with it. So in whatever situation, Paul Levesque made the call to Phil. They talk things out. Maybe there's like, all right, mutual interest. Triple H takes it up to Nick Khan. Is this something we could do? That's something we should do. Nick Khan signs off on it. Triple H goes back to Phil. All right, let's talk specifics. Or he hands that conversation off to someone else. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at this point, Vince just seems to be involved in like large picture type stuff.
Vince seems to be
not
involved.
Not the nitty gritty day to day in the weeds stuff, as he put it.
He's not even close to being in the weeds, seemingly. And I mean, he seems to be more of like, okay, how can I help? Vince seems to be more like Endeavor related or like top level TKO. I mean, like, how can I help the UFC get a Saudi Arabia deal?
Yeah, I was just about to mention that because Dana White just talked about that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that seems to be Vince McMahon. Like, okay, how can I procure these deals? They're doing their thing, getting like, the most amount of people, the most amount of money out of the live shows and the TV and all that kind of stuff. They're doing what they're doing. Let's see how I can help on like a super big picture,
a macro scale. Yeah,
right, exactly. But like, oh, is CM Punk going to show up? That seems to be well below Vince McMahon's pay grade at this point.
It does. All right, let's get
as much as he'd probably want to be involved in that.
I know he wants to be in there in the negotiating room. God damn it, Phil.
God damn it, Phil. You really stuck it to AEW, didn't you?
So, Fightful Select reported that, quote, talent were pulled aside before the War Games match and told that CM Punk would be returning at the conclusion of the show. At least one talent claimed legitimately to be upset by the return of Punk. So, after Survivor Series last night, some video footage was posted on social media of Seth Rollins seemingly being very upset, hurling expletives, throwing up middle fingers in Punk's direction while he poses on the ramp. And then PW Insider reported last night that Drew McIntyre abruptly and seemingly angrily stormed out of the venue, first ringside area, then the locker room, out of the arena following last night's main event. That's what Meltzer had to say about all that. Quote, as far as the Seth thing goes, that was an angle. But Dave noted that Drew was legitimately upset about something, stating, quote, he was very upset as the night went on he was less upset. As far as the reason he left, I don't want to give any wrong information. I will say that within the company, people in the company told me that they thought it had to do with Punk. I cannot confirm that, only that's what people in the company thought, but he was legitimately upset about something. So people close to Drew told Fightful, quote, people close to McIntyre checked on him. He confirmed it was connected to the CM Punk return and that it wasn't part of a work and that he was selling to the back to maintain some professionalism. Although, Fightful later added in a subsequent update, quote, he was legit upset after his match, but it was related to things broader than CM Punk.
Mm-hmm.
So Fightful also noted that, quote, Seth Rollins was in Gorilla and had to be ushered away by Triple H and Michael Cole as he was looking for CM Punk. Now, Fightful also notes that some of the reactions may have been filmed backstage.
Mm-hmm.
So if you watch the video of Seth Rollins, you can watch that and be like, oh, this is totally an angle they're doing. And
Yeah,
they
right.
shot stuff backstage and he's back there. Where's CM Punk? Where's CM Punk?
Digital exclusive.
Yeah, exactly. Then, guess what? That's 1,000% of work.
Which is great. Which is awesome. Which is,
because that's probably going to be the Mania match is Seth and CM Punk, given Seth numerous statements being highly critical of Phil Brooks.
You could do a lot of fun stuff with that. You could do a lot of really fun stuff with that, and I love that. And I love that there is ambiguity from everybody. Oh my God, is this real? Is it not? I mean, when you look back at his histrionics, it kind of seems, I'm not going to say obvious, but it's a bit over the top. And but him dropping F-bombs and the middle fingers and stuff at a family-friendly event, that's pretty ballsy, and I like it. I like it a lot. I think that's great. So the Seth stuff, yeah, we're going to get Seth versus CM Punk, maybe night one of WrestleMania, or maybe even sooner than that. I don't know. Check out the new Friendo merchandise now at friendoshop.com and use promo code Friendo2024 to get huge deals. New Chicago Friendo Club shirt, Steven Larson Judgment Day shirt, Friendo 24/7, and let me tell you something, all at friendoshop.com. Before we continue on with the show, want to ask you guys a quick favor. We know a lot of you guys are watching because of CM Punk stuff. Oh man, it's going crazy. Everybody who's watching right now, whatever you're doing, if you can just pause for a moment, hit that thumbs up. Let's try to get this video up to, I'm going to throw it out there, Larson, 500 likes. Oh, wow. I went a lot lower than you did. 1,000? Okay.
Yeah. 1,000. Why not?
Let's get to 1,000. Let's get to 1,000. I'll be happy with 500, but if we get to 1,000.
You're undercutting me is what you're doing.
Look, we said it at the same time. How can there be undercutting when I have no idea what you were going to say?
No, I'm not saying then. Now you are. You're saying, oh, I'll be happy with 500. That's undercutting me.
I'm just being honest. I'll be happy with 500. Larson will be happy with 1,000. So if you could do that, that'd be great. Also, Larson, we've got this goal for the end of the year. We're coming down to it. I don't know.
We made a lot of progress over the last 24 or so hours.
We did. So this goal is for our number of subscribers we have here at YouTube. We're looking to get 198,891. Why? Because it's a palindrome. Same from beginning to end beginning, right?
Yes.
Right now, how close are we? How far away are we?
519.
Ooh.
So we can get under 500. That'd be great by the end of this month.
If y'all could just do us a solid, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, the little notify bell so you always get notified of new Going in Raw content. That would be awesome. We'd very much appreciate it. Also, of course, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/Steven Larson. Bonus shows, question threads, and the huge predictions challenges we do every single month. Patrick Sparks, the B-Man, is the new Big Blue champion. Congratulations, Patrick Sparks, for that. You can also get that access to all that stuff by clicking join right here on YouTube and becoming a Friendo Club channel member. You get the Friendo Club setup. Even Seth Rollins can get the Friendo Club setup. All you got to do is go to patreon.com/Steven Larson, $5 and up, or click join on the YouTube. We'd very much appreciate it. Now back to the show. Let's talk about Drew McIntyre.
Yes.
So one thing that we talked about both in our star ratings, which are available right now, because of course ours are the freshest, hot out of the oven.
Unlike those other guys.
That's right. They're available now at the Friendo Club Wrestling channel. You can go check that out right now. The main event, and you and I both agreed on this, the main event and CM Punk, and if you want to talk broader than CM Punk, but also kind of including him, overshadowed Drew McIntyre's story and the story of Judgment Day Not necessarily the story of Team Cody, because it's not really a story. Cody and Seth, can we get together on one night and do this, the bull rope bit? Sure, we can do that. But Drew McIntyre's story has actually been really well executed so far. But then you do the silly stuff with all the draping DDTs. That was goofy. And Judgment Day just looking like complete assholes. They look like clowns. And I know there's that fan video of the cameraman telling Drew to get out of there. That's just Drew, taking his cue, being professional, doing what he's supposed to do. That's not to say he's not upset. And for all we know, his entire thing can be a complete work as well. If they're doing stuff with Seth Rollins backstage, where's CM Punk? I'm going to knock him out. That's not to say that they won't do, as you mentioned last night, an angle where multiple roster members are upset with CM Punk the way that they're upset with Jey Uso, but in a different, more meta, worked shoot style.
Yeah.
But that being said, I can understand if one of Drew McIntyre's main points of contention with WWE over the past year or so has been his use creatively, I could see why this main event, as it pertains to his character, might not be his cup of tea, and might not have left him feeling all that satisfied with where his character is going.
Yeah. The motivation for Drew to get involved in War Games to begin with was to get after Jey Uso. He wanted Jey Uso in the cage so he can get back at him for all that the Bloodline did to cost him the World Heavyweight title.
Yeah.
Or the Undisputed Universal title. I can think of maybe 2, maybe 3 minutes. Maybe that. During the course of the War Games match, where the focus of the match was Drew going after Jey Uso.
Yeah.
He threw him into the cage a couple times, and that was seemingly that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially once Randy Orton got in the ring, and it seemed like in Drew McIntyre's mind, Jey Uso didn't exist.
Right, yeah.
It seemed like it would have made more sense. You could have had a 2-pronged story here.
Mm-hmm.
You could have had the story of Damian Priest ultimately being an inept leader because he's focused solely on his own benefit, cashing in, becoming World Heavyweight Champion. Along with that, Drew McIntyre's obsession with getting his pound of flesh from Jey Uso during that match, rather than getting the win for Judgment Day and his team. Both those things coming to a head and costing Judgment Day the match, that would have been perhaps a more interesting and intriguing conclusion from which you can do other things. Judgment Day looking like a bunch of jackasses in there in the end once Randy Orton gets in that ring. It just makes them look like fools. Hapless fools.
It does.
Now, and then by proxy, because Drew is associated with them, he looks like a fool too.
I will say this. Something Triple H said that we talked about the other day on the show, how when you put yourself in the position of the fans and how you want them to feel and what you want them to do, you can't tell me that the crowd wasn't hot for everything that happened. Did it sacrifice some of the story? Yeah, but it was a special night. That crowd was alive. We can talk about, how the match sort of failed the story of Drew McIntyre and the Judgment Day, and it totally did. But Randy Orton coming back, I mean, look, I know there are other ways where you can maybe have your cake and eat it too. They just elected to do it in War Games and have Randy's.
They elected to go with fan service more so than advancing story, which by and large these days they tend to go the other way.
And with WWE right now, they're trying to get all the fan service they can because that was a dry well under Vince McMahon. The reports of they want to give the fans what they want, as opposed to in the past under Vince McMahon, giving the fans what Vince McMahon wants them to want and thinks they should want, which ultimately is just Vince McMahon's weird whims.
Yep.
And that change in philosophy is going to lead to some incredible fan reactions like we got last night. And hopefully they can massage back that story of Judgment Day and try to get some of that like sort of bloodline level stuff, where the Sami Zayn bloodline stuff, where not only are you giving the fans a compelling story, the reason why the fans are reacting the way they are is because of the compelling story.
Yeah. Last
night with Randy Orton's return, they sort of failed on the story front.
Yeah.
But the fans got a huge They got that big reaction out of the fans. They all left really happy, especially because then Phil Brooks showed up.
Yeah.
And maybe all that overshadowing what Drew McIntyre was hoping for a good story, maybe that is the source of some discontent, if that's a real thing. If it's a real thing, which at this point, who knows? And who knows? Maybe maybe Triple H is making some phone calls today. First and foremost, Drew McIntyre saying, listen, we are going to get you on track with the story. We're going to get you the money that you want because we think you're a big deal here, and we don't want to cede any ground to AEW. By the way, they got this TKO Endeavor money. You need to use that so that nobody of note goes over to AEW, because right now you got their foot on their neck, man. You really do. AEW's got to start concentrating on maximizing the potential of their stars over there.
Yes.
So they can have maybe their only hope right now, man, ain't to sign anybody from WWE, because you see how that works out with Edge. Doesn't really do much.
Doesn't do much.
You need to start focusing on your stories.
They already have. And that's wrestlers like Swerve Strickland, getting Hangman Adam Page back in the main event scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Getting the Elite involved in more meaningful stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Getting Kenny Omega out of this Chris Jericho momentum vampire type deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was also reported by, I believe, both Fightful and PW Insider that Punk's going to be at Raw this Monday at Nashville, and sure enough, not too long ago, WWE confirmed both CM Punk and Randall Keith Thornton will in fact be in Nashville for Raw this Monday. One little note here from PW Insider in one of their couple articles about CM Punk's return. They have some information here about Impact making an offer to Phil. That's what it says. Impact Wrestling had made a major money offer to Punk, which we are told he was mulling over and speaking to Impact sources after Punk's WWE return. We are told that Punk was amazing in his dealings with the top Impact execs. During discussions, Impact sources felt they were very close to scoring Punk, and at one point hoped he would even be at Bound for Glory as part of the unveiling of the return of TNA, which did not happen.
What could have been? The fans, but if WWE wants you, they're gonna get you, unless you're Will Ospreay.
Yeah. Well, it seemed like, even going back as far as the Backstage days when Punk was on there, it was like he wanted back then, seemingly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did.
Vince said no to it.
Yeah.
He went to AEW. Of course, post-Brawl Out, showed up at Backstage at episode of Raw.
Mm-hmm. Trying to make
kind of getting the lay of the land a little bit.
Yeah, right.
Seemed a possibility. There was a talk that there was a buyout being negotiated. That never happened.
Yeah.
It seemed like at various points, this is where Punk wanted to be. He wanted to be back in WWE.
Yeah. I mean, you think back to, his big, debut in AEW, and it was a massive moment. He got a lot of money, and it seemed like a company that was sort of built for him. And, when there's that lack of like fear of the people at the top, like Vince McMahon's a scary motherfucker, Triple H and Nick Khan together, that's an intimidating duo right there. I wonder if Stephanie's going to come back. She was sitting front row there.
Apparently she was backstage too, yeah.
And she was backstage, and a lot of people love Stephanie McMahon back there. But that's all a very intimidating thing. I mean, TKO Holdings, that's an intimidating thing. I don't know how much people are going to be fucking around there, and if they are, I don't know how long they're going to be around if they're fucking around.
Yeah.
In AEW, you got one guy who, let's face it, he came into this as a fan, just a fan with a whole lot of money and some really good networking skills and some really good networks. And he was able to get the cable deal and this, that, the other. But this is a much different thing.
Yes.
And when a guy has his whole legacy on the line, you got to think that he's going to do what he can within himself to make good here in WWE, whether or not, some demons might, rear themselves. I don't know. The time will tell. Time will tell.
Yep. Time will tell. Time will tell. You want to answer a couple questions? I'm sure these will be by and large CM Punk related. So
yeah, we put some question threads up for the friendos because we don't generally do the questions on the premium live events because there's enough to talk about.
Yes.
So yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
So Donald C. Man, we got a lot of these questions, so we'll start with this one. Who's the most likely person that Punk is going to snap on, and why is the answer Dirty Dom?
Oh, like I think that him and Dom will be fine backstage. He's probably known him since he was like a little kid. I think they did a thing with CM Punk and Rey Mysterio with Dom involved back in the day.
I think so.
So who is he going to snap on? I mean, okay. So there's some interest. I'm sure this is probably going to be one of the questions. Like the idea of CM Punk and LA Knight. Two very different people. Seemingly two very different people. I mean, they might get along swimmingly. I don't know. They just seem like very different people.
Yeah. I
mean, Dom, dude, I'll almost guarantee you CM Punk and Rey Mysterio probably get along great, and so Dom probably gets along great with him.
Yeah, I would imagine.
I don't know. Like, I guess this is a question like for backstage, like a Jack Perry type thing, if it were to happen.
Yeah. I would think it would be somebody who in the past had been very vocal in their criticisms of CM Punk.
So, I mean, yeah, it's not going to be a guy who has literally been very vocal like Seth Rollins. Like, he's at the top of the food chain.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let me ask you, what do you think the backstage relationship between a Sami Zayn and a Kevin Owens and CM Punk would be like? I mean, on one hand, birds of a feather, because all Ring of Honor guys.
Yeah, but Kevin Owens, in his own way, has told the story of CM Punk giving him crap for wearing a T-shirt during his match. You know, and he's very diplomatic about it. But, you know, here's the thing. And we said this countless times. In WWE, there's structure. And not to say that fights can't and won't happen. It's entirely possible. But when you got seemingly the structure that's in place in WWE, it's gonna mitigate the chances of a Jack Perry CM Punk thing happening or a brawl out happening.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think the odds of, let's say one happened, the odds of Punk snapping on somebody backstage and getting in a fight are far lower in WWE than they would be in AEW. Maybe I'm being naive saying that. It's entirely possible. He could pop off on somebody and start throwing hands. It's entirely possible.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's you just hear in AEW where it's like the Wild West, you know, and there's no structure back there.
People don't listen.
Since the inception of the company, basically.
Like, I think Stevie Richards said, you know, when he talked to people at AEW, one of the producers there was like, yeah, man, these people don't listen. You can't tell them anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that there'd be anybody that there'd be a confrontation with back. I don't know. Braun Breaker? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean, he grew up with old school wrestlers as literally his dad and uncle.
Well, here's the thing about, you know, like people getting called from NXT. They're not going to start issues with CM Punk.
No.
Because guess what? They're the ones going to be punished, probably.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's going to be someone who is established in WWE that is maybe even someone like Seth Rollins. Just using his name as an example. Someone who's got the leverage, who's got the stroke backstage to step up to Punk.
Yeah.
And not have to potentially take his crap. And if Punk wants to throw hands, all right, fine. WWE's not going to fire Seth Rollins. They're not.
Right, I know.
They're
exactly,
not.
Yeah.
Punk's getting fired before Seth is.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah.
So if it's someone like that, I mean, this is all speculation. Hopefully nothing happens. But, you know.
You know who it would have been? Matt Riddle. Might have been Matt Riddle. Yeah, Matt Riddle tries the shit that he tried with like Goldberg and Brock Lesnar with CM Punk.
Riddle goes up to Punk's like, hey, you want to have an MMA? You want to have a fight pit match with me?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Riddle goes out there and actually like tries to MMA wrestle.
Yeah.
And Punk gets humiliated. Yeah.
Did you see Matt Riddle's tweet?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, WWE think I was difficult to work with. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'll be a surprising name. Maybe it won't. I don't know.
And like I said, hopefully it doesn't happen. Hopefully it doesn't happen.
Yeah. But ideally, it does for our thumbnails. Let's be honest. Let's be real. We need to get that money. So act a fool all you want, CM Punk.
I guess so.
All right, here's one from White Brownie. He's got a programming question. I know you guys already made it clear you wouldn't do Raw or SmackDown watch-alongs anymore, but with the return of both Randy and Punk, what's the over-under you guys do on tomorrow?
I mean, we haven't talked about it at all.
We have not talked about it in any way, shape, or form. So I'm going to say unknown. I mean, look,
unknown at this
getting
juncture.
the Twitch revenue up might be kind of a good idea. On the other hand, sitting here for 3 hours, I don't know about all that. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know about all that either.
We'll see. We'll talk about it.
Alex Foster says, out of all the returns, is it bad that the most I popped was when I saw R-Truth? Not at all. R-Truth, a legend.
He's a legend. He's absolutely great.
A legend.
He's fantastic.
R-Truth is great.
Yeah.
I was happy to see him back, too.
Yeah. So Corbin Dallas had a question about Seth Rollins and his reaction to CM Punk. We've already addressed it, but thank you for leaving the question. Here we go. Jesse Helsius. This is a good one because, well, really have to put our thinking caps on. With Triple H seemingly able to mend any fence, Punk, Warrior, Bruno, is there anyone out of the WWE sphere that he couldn't get back?
I would say Ryback, but he's supposed to be retired. I kid.
He if he wanted Ryback, he could get Ryback because Ryback.
Oh, absolutely, he could.
Because Ryback would want to come back.
Yes, I know.
That would be an easy one. Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of somebody.
You know who? You know one name that Triple H I don't think for a second would bring back? Scott Steiner.
Yeah. No chance.
I think that would be the one name. Like, he literally did an interview where he referred to Stephanie as like the worst thing you can call a person. So I would think that Scott Steiner, there's no way Triple H would be like, I mean, at this point, like, there's no reason to. There's no reason to. But it would have to be somebody along those lines.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think, just looking at is there anything that he couldn't get back? So somebody that wouldn't want to come back. Like, who wouldn't want to come to WWE right now?
I know, right now especially.
That's sort of the thing, is like, who wouldn't want to go there? CKY Halo says, do you think, what a great combination of interests, CKY and Halo. That's the most 2002 shit I've seen.
It really is.
Who do you think Punk's first opponent will be?
Could be Nakamura. Fightful in their reporting of Punk's return makes it clear that it wasn't like a planned thing for that to be the feud.
Really, Nakamura didn't even know who he was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's still going to be Nakamura and Cody as we speculated. It could be Nakamura. It could be they might just go right to the Seth Rollins thing and start that build for WrestleMania now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
You gotta have some tune-up feuds, right? Like you do.
You'd think so.
You do Nakamura first because that's a killer match, also.
Yeah. Here's another thing to kind of backtrack a bit about why Drew might be upset. Maybe there was talk that Drew McIntyre was going to beat Seth Rollins for that title until CM Punk shows up.
They should still do that.
They should.
They still should do that. I mean, they honestly, like, if you want, really what you kind of want to do, the problem with Seth Rollins versus CM Punk is you're going to put the world title on CM Punk? He just comes in and you do that?
I know.
That ain't going to work.
They need to do that for Cody.
I know. You keep him, you put the title on Drew. Maybe Seth Rollins talks a lot of shit to CM Punk, and CM Punk makes his face seen during that match, and then Drew Seth loses that match, and then you do an away from the feud where they can split wins.
Yeah. So Ty Moore here asks, while on the topic, does Punk even need to win any world titles for this run? I feel as though he didn't really need one during his AEW run. Not at all.
No.
Not at all.
No.
I
think AEW he needed it. I think AEW, that was kind of, come on, it made sense. It made all the sense in the world. The Hangman story was crap because it wasn't a story. They were just mean at each other.
Yeah.
But he was on the cover of the video game. He was the biggest star they had. Yeah, you put the title on Punk. The title made sense.
That's when you should be losing to Hangman and help getting Hangman even more over.
No, the point was Punk now. Win now with Punk.
No.
That made all the sense in the world, in my estimation. Here in WWE, it doesn't make sense.
No. You focus on the talent that you have, that you've been spending months, in some cases years, developing and building, and focus on them. If CM Punk really wants his WrestleMania Night 1 main event, see if he can get Stone Cold in. You have that main event Night 1. No titles involved. It kind of exists as an exhibition match outside of regular WWE continuity. And so Punk gets his wish. He's not involved in any sort of title picture. It's a huge money match.
Who wins
that
match?
Anything else you're doing.
You know, that's one of the things about CM Punk right now, is that's a question that, I got to ask a lot. Who wins that match? You know, here's a feud that I want to see. CM Punk versus Logan Paul. That'd be fucking nuts. Because there's nothing CM Punk could say to Logan Paul that's going to affect Logan Paul. That dude is fucking Teflon.
Yeah.
Like, he makes more in like a month than CM Punk will make on this WWE deal.
Maybe.
He makes a shit ton of money. He is the most trending person like there is in WWE. He trends over WWE by a multiplier.
Yeah.
There's nothing CM Punk could say to him. Oh, you're not a real wrestler? You know what I mean? No. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, okay.
Logan Paul could rip... I can't believe I'm saying this. Logan Paul, probably on principle, could rip CM Punk to shreds in a promo. Just based off of his history. Are you kidding me? The second Logan Paul says the letters AEW, that crowd is going to go, oh, shit.
Yeah.
That could be so much fun.
All right, Logan Paul might be top of the list that CM Punk might snap at backstage.
And Logan Paul won't give a shit. And he could probably legitimately knock him out, dude.
Could be.
Oh, man.
Mr. Sinister says, with Punk returning, what are the odds of AJ Lee returning? And if she does, do you guys think we'll get a Punk AJ versus Becky Seth match? It'd be awesome if AJ were to return.
Yeah,
if she,
that'd be
she
cool.
wanted to. She was great. You know, if nothing else, hopefully this paves the way, if she doesn't want to return to the ring, at least paves the way for Hall of Fame induction.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Logan Paul and CM Punk on the same in the same shot would be fucking amazing.
Whether it happened or not, that's Steve's Night 1 main event.
It
for
is
WrestleMania.
Oh, you're totally right.
That might be tops Cody.
Oh, Night
Cody
2. Yeah, dude. That's my new main event. I'd love to see it. We talked about this a little bit from Jonathan Vieira. Does Punk's return derail any chance of Drew or Priest becoming world champion anytime soon? Man, I know he's got the briefcase, but Priest is world heavyweight champion. I don't know about that, man.
Yeah, because Justin Sider asks, how will they make Priest a credible threat to cash in? Right now, I can't see where they're going with him. Unless it's a situation, rock bottom, Priest, your leadership was garbage, you suck, you're out of Judgment Day. And then he's like, well, at least I got briefcase. Now he's got to rebuild his basically his entire career over the next 6 months to become a credible world championship contender.
What they should do, what they really should do, move the title off Seth onto Drew. Drew and Priest feud over that. And you can involve the Money in the Bank however you want to involve Money in the Bank. Or you move the title to Priest and him and Drew fight over. I don't know. But Drew and Priest should be the World Heavyweight Championship thing. Dude, and then Seth, come on. At this point, Seth is above title. You know what I mean? He's so big. He made his point. You established him as like, you know, a 1B to Roman's 1A. Him and Punk are away from the title. It's, I mean, that's what you do. You give Drew his real World's Championship title run, so to speak. Priest gets to do the cash-in stuff. Those are two great names for a feud for a title. But then there are certain feuds that are just above title. And at this point, Seth and Punk, that's Punk versus MJF type stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah, I didn't need the title.
No. Dog Authority Figure here asked, do you think the Bayley damage control story runs the risk of being too similar to the Sammy bloodline story? No, because for the Bayley damage control story to be similar to anything involving the bloodline, they have to be like the rest of the bloodline kicking Roman out. Mm-hmm. You know, Bayley started damage control. Mm-hmm. She brought in EO and Dakota Kai.
Yeah.
You know, and to essentially have a mutiny on her hands. Yeah, I feel like it's a different story. Sammy was kind of the outsider that they let in the inner circle, only in the end to, in the eyes of the bloodline, betrayed them. And that's not the case with Bayley.
In a very, very like big picture sense, I can see why some people would see some similarities. It's an odd man out situation, you know, and so I can see from a very big picture, Sam. But you're absolutely right. It's a completely different story, one that I think will stand on its own merits. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. It really will be. A lot of other questions. John Hosey, former champion now, John Hosey. Is it time for Becky to go after Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship? What would you rather see at Mania? Rhea versus Becky or Rhea versus Bianca?
I feel like WWE would rather see Rhea versus Becky because it's a huge win for Rhea.
Yeah.
I think whatever the Mania match is for Rhea, Rhea is going to win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't think they want to do Rhea Bianca yet if Bianca has to lose.
I think you're right about that. They need to keep teasing it over the years, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Over the years.
Yeah.
You
have them kind of on parallel paths being built up as the top stars in their respective brands to, inevitably clash at Mania 41 or something like that.
It's a tough situation, and I've talked about this before. It's a tough situation for anybody to be in there with Rhea Ripley. Becky is, again, at this point, sort of above title, and she can handle that. And the crowd, I think, will be a lot more respectful of Becky's positioning than, say, Zoe Stark, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And so, but I still think that the lion's shares of the cheers are going to be for. But I mean, you do the same thing. Look, you have the precedent. You got Rhea versus Charlotte last year, and oh my God, this year, that was a match of the year candidate. That match was fucking phenomenal.
It was really, really good. It was really, really good.
So yeah, I mean, you do Rhea versus Becky. And I know Charlotte, people like to boo Charlotte. She's a bad guy, or she was anyways. But yeah, with Becky. You just put the two big stars there, Becky and Rhea, next to each other. You know, that's what you do.
Tease it too. They tease it backstage. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have, and I think they should do that. Sure,
they should. Blake Whitehouse here asks, realistically, how much longer can Gunther hold the Intercontinental title before it feels like they have no plans to elevate him further?
Oh, he is elevated. He is. What this guy is making the Intercontinental Championship into. I mean, he's made it on par with the world title, like, goddamn, that title is kind of everything. So I don't know. I'd say he challenges for the world title as Intercontinental Champion. I don't know who wins. I don't know how you do it. I mean, I've already said you give that title to Drew or Damian Priest.
Well, you do that at the Rumble, and then, I don't know, by SummerSlam, you have Gunther still Intercontinental Champion challenging whoever's champ at SummerSlam for a world title shot, and he wins it. Both those belts he's holding up to close SummerSlam.
Okay. Yeah, it's scary stuff. Yeah, there's so much good, and that's why I say, man, just I don't know, make Gunther forever Intercontinental Champion. I don't know, just make that into. It was similar to New Japan a couple of years ago. Naito was the Intercontinental Champion, Okada was the world champion, but like. It could be reversed, and it would, all things being equal, like one guy's dominant, the other guy's dominant. You just have a bunch of good stories running parallel, and maybe at some point they meet up. I don't know, but I love his title reign. I think you just keep on going, just with phenomenal wrestling. Gunther versus Shinsuke Nakamura, do that shit. Oh my God, are you kidding me? That match would be phenomenal.
It would be. They need to start building up somebody if they intend to have somebody actually beat Gunther for that title. They need to actually really start figuring out who that is and building to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because right now it's not Chad Gable, as much as he likes to say it. It's not Chad Gable.
It ain't Chad Gable, and you're right. I don't know who it is, but I mean, hell, I wouldn't say CM Punk, but CM Punk versus Gunther is a hell of a match right there.
No, CM Punk should be nowhere near close to beating Gunther. No, absolutely not.
Yeah, but it'd be a hell of a match though, wouldn't it?
Get that talk out of here.
It'd be a hell of a match, though. Tell me what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, it'd be great. It'd be a really good match, but no, CM Punk should not win that match. No.
I'm not saying he should win that match. I'm saying that they should think about it.
No, they shouldn't think about it.
Cody should beat Gunther.
Absolutely not. Cody's going to finish his story. His story is beating Roman for the lineage title. That's Cody's story.
What would Roman Reigns say about CM Punk? We'll end on this one from MF Steve here to you, Larson.
Sure.
What is Roman Reigns going to say about CM Punk?
Well, for sure, he's gonna say, 1, acknowledge me. 2, tribal chief setups for Roman Reigns alone, especially not Seth Rollins, and probably especially not for CM Punk.
Yeah, right, exactly. He's gonna get out of here. You were a champion. You were a champion at a B promotion, and you got ran out of there. I won't even give you my scraps.
Nope.
So he'll take CM Punk and Seth Rollins, both at WrestleMania. Copy paste Edge, Daniel Bryan, and Roman Reigns. Stacks them. Smash them, stacks them, pins them, wins. Oh, man. Anyways, that's going to do it for this episode of Going to Raw. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Hey, do us a solid. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button and the notify bell. We'd appreciate it. Till next time, we'll see you around.
Goodbye.